I've been with my partner for 8 years, but it seems like every time we get into a car, we start fighting. And I don't know what it is. I mean, sometimes I wonder if it's because being behind the wheel of a 3-ton vehicle, you become an A-type personality and you start snapping at each other because you're so dominant. But usually I only do that with other car drivers, not with people in the car. So I'm just wondering why the conflict as soon as we get into a car.
It is amazing how much fighting goes on in cars. Over and over again, I hear about couples who are in a great space, loving each other, looking forward to the most beautiful evening out, and they get in the car, and within 2 minutes, they're having a fight. Often it's over different routes. One wants the back roads route, one wants to get to the highway. People feel criticized by their partners when their partner is letting them know beforehand, we need to make a right here. And a card that I really like for cars is actually, it's number 15, and the card says, I'm your friend. It's painful to see how quickly I can become your enemy, which is often what happens in cars. And I just want to add a little cautionary note here. Obviously, you're not going to hold up a flashcard while your partner is driving. I would wait for a red light or actually, direct the car to be pulled over to the side of the road. But the beauty of using the flashcard is it hits both of you over the head about how such a little thing has divided you and how quickly you can get back together again.
My husband and I have a few recurrent arguments. One of them revolves around his son that comes to visit every other weekend. And we live in a small urban apartment here. So we're kind of on top of each other already. So when you add a third person, it adds even more people on top of each other. So a lot of times on Saturdays, I like to take a break and go meet a friend or go meet somebody for brunch. And a lot of times that's a point of contention, and we will argue about that at times. So I would like to know what your advice is.
The woman was talking about a stepson, but in my mind, that wasn't really an issue about parenting. It was about an issue about the right to be in one's own space and not be shamed for it. So it could be parenting, it could be wanting to play bridge, it could be doing all sorts of things. And I love flashcard number 3, which says, I wish you could hear this as saying yes to me and not no to you. And most of the times we so wish when we do something that our partner wouldn't take it personally, and often they do take it personally. But it's a beautiful distinction to understand that I'm doing something for myself and I still love you dearly.
We tend to get into arguments about things that I think are actually quite trivial when you come down to it, but they seem really important to me. It might be something like, I come in and I wished he would have done the dishes and he hasn't done the dishes, and I become really upset about that. And before you know it, we're just back and forth, arguing about something that ultimately was probably not worth my reaction to it. So I wish that somehow I could find a way to stop myself and say, I'm being irrational, I'm overreacting, but I just need a minute to acknowledge my actual temper, which is just to get angry, and then perhaps I could move on a little more easily.
I would say that most of us probably overreact 14 times a day. And we do it because we take things personally. We feel that somehow we're not being seen, we're not being taken seriously, we're not being acknowledged, which often has nothing to do with this. And that woman almost spoke the words of flashcard number 41. I realize I'm overreacting. Can you give me a minute to get sane again? It's actually a very beautiful flashcard. Very little will make your partner as happy as you're acknowledging your own insanity. And often if you don't acknowledge it, they're going to do everything possible to prove to you how off you are, how nutty you are. And when you are willing to take responsibility for not being quite in reality, I can virtually promise you it will put a smile on your partner's face. I would also add there's another card along those lines that's extremely effective. Actually, my own partner likes this card. You have no idea how much I regret the direction I took this in. And it's a rare partner who gets that message and doesn't melt a little.